Good discussion here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the dates I have there.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So in section 3, number 3, it says truck deliveries of water resources from outside the area. I don't think that pertains to the opt-out of legal cannabis, since there would not be any truck delivery from outside the area. And then in number 4, I see the area experiences illegal pumping from unauthorized water sources. I think this should be dealing with legal issues, not the illegal pumping of things, and lack of water for cultivation and dust control. So that's kind of muddy for me. I don't know how we get around that, but I'd like to see that changed.
Who are you directing that question to? Is that for Director Connell or for County Council?
We'll go with County Council on that.
Switching at this point, Margaret. So I'll make the command to this. Just text me and says.
I'm still here for a second, but I am going to have childcare issues.
Okay, Margaret's kind of here. Did you hear that question, Margaret, about the concerns with the findings?
Do you want me to repeat that, Margaret?
Well, on the first one, you can use delivery truck water systems during the state of emergencies.
That's not what we're talking about here, though.
But
That's exactly what you're talking about.
do you want to get into discussion on this without County Council and make a motion so we can dive into it?
What is the emergency that we're talking about here, Pete?
You have a drought, it's in our ordinance, a drought emergency.
Look,
You can use water trucks.
That's not,
we're getting into discussion.
we can just.
Somebody make a motion.
Discuss. I don't think this ordinance is discussing a state of emergency.
Make a motion.
And us considering illegal pumping from unauthorized water sources and lack of water.
All right, I'll take it upon myself. I'll make a motion to approve item 5.3 as presented. Would anyone care to make a second that so we can discuss?
I'll second for discussion.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Supervisor Gogan.
So the two things that I have here, one of the things is, someone brought it up, the APN would be a good thing to stick with, I think, to keep the numbers consistent. And the last two things I have here is truck delivery of water resources from outside the area is likely to adversely affect this fragile road system. Legal cannabis or opting out of legal cannabis doesn't have any outside truck delivery.
Unless it's a state of emergency.
Our
Which is
cannabis
what we're
ordinance,
constantly in.
our cannabis ordinance does allow for water delivery in emergency situations.
And supervisors, we do have Amanda on now.
We have our third attorney of the day. So the way I'm reading this, and I could be wrong because these dates get messed up in my brain from times I was on the planning commission also, but these findings also predate a lot of the stuff that we're have right now. I mean, this Rush Creek opt-out, when they started their going through the planning commission to get this opt-out, these were actually important because we didn't even have a programmatic EIR at the time that this opt-out was started. So I can understand where they had put these environmental findings in there. If it comes to the point where, okay, we can take them out now, I don't have a problem with that, but I do know why they're there, in my mind, it was because we didn't have a programmatic EIR. We didn't have protections for the environmental portion at the time that this was drafted. So that would be my explanation on why it's in there. And I guess we could ask Amanda if we can remove findings from a second reading without having to go back and have it re-agendized and consider this a first reading.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that would probably be actually okay under these circumstances and more of a technical change rather than actually affecting the actual body of the ordinance, having to go back. Especially since, like you said, this is kind of dating back to a situation where you didn't have environmental review up in place. So I think at this point that kind of takes care of the need for these findings.
Thank you.
If we do that, Amanda, does that mean that this becomes a first reading?
No, she said no, it's a technical change.
She said it didn't have to go back to.
Right.
I want to
No,
make sure.
it doesn't have to go back to this. We can finalize it after it goes.
That's correct. I consider this more of a technical change and not one that would necessitate taking it back to a first reading.
So if we defined existing licenses, does that take it back to a first reading?
I know, you're making me think. That's a little bit more of a complicated issue, although I do think that would probably be technical, especially if you're keeping it in line with prior interpretations of what that existing license. It sounds like that's what we're working on is the existing definition. Creating a new definition, I think that would be problematic.
Well, the intent of the board, is my understanding from the last meeting, was existing licenses were functioning licenses on this date, not licenses that had water board. I mean, we purposely went away from the water board on this. And so my understanding of what Mr. Connell talked about was that his definition would be anybody that did the water board license and his, I mean, then we get back into, you had a water board permit that you were an illegal grower, but then you